Hello, everyone. Good evening and Happy New Year to all our listeners and anyone else listening today. This is our first show for Health Talk with Atswei this year. You're all welcome. I hope you had a nice Christmas and a Happy New Year. Today, we are lucky to have Geraldine here, and she's coming to talk about stroke. She's going to tell us everything that we need to know about it. If you have any questions, please, you can always go to our website, WhatsApp, Facebook, or YouTube, and then you ask your questions and she'll be happy to answer. And I will plead with you, listen carefully, because we always know she'll do a quiz at the end of it. I don't want to be the one winning the test all the time. So please, let's welcome Geraldine.
Thank you so much.
Geraldine, you're welcome. You're not new here, but you can tell us a little bit about yourself for the sake of those who are listening to you for the very first time.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Geraldine. I'm a pharmacist here in the UK, and I met Atswei through work. We work together in a doctor's surgery, and during my work, at the beginning of my career, I was mainly focused around medications, but now I'm learning more about chronic conditions, which I've come on here to speak about. So stroke is one of them, the ones I've been reviewing a lot recently. So I've gained some knowledge and hope to share today.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So this is Akoko Africa Radio UK. This is Health Talk with Atswei, and we are sorry we are starting late today. We'll do our best this year. We are going to be good.
Yes.
So, because we are already late, we'll just start right away. So Geraldine,
Yes.
when they say stroke, what is it?
Okay, so stroke is obviously a serious and life-threatening condition, and basically it's when the blood supply to part of the brain is cut off. There's a disruption in the supply, and the brain doesn't receive the oxygen that it needs, that part of the brain, and so essentially that part of the brain starts to die, and the cells and the tissue start to die, so it essentially becomes ineffective. That part of the brain is irreparable. So that's stroke by definition.
Oh, okay. Okay. And do we have like different types of stroke?
Yes, we do. So there's different types of strokes, but there's two main types. The most commonly suffered stroke is called ischemic stroke, and this occurs when there's a blood clot in the brain, and because of the clot, the oxygen supply is now cut off to that part of the brain. The second is hemorrhagic stroke, which is there's a bleed in the brain, so one of the vessels have burst, and so as you can imagine, the bleeding, there's no oxygen being supplied to that part of the brain as well.
Okay.
Because the vessel's not intact anymore, and now there's bleed in the brain. There's pressure, fluid build up. So again, but that one's less common than the ischemic stroke.
Okay. All right. I would like to take a short break and take some message from our sponsors, and then we'll come and continue quickly.
When it comes to balloons and balloons decoration for your baby Christian, for your ceiling floral, You Smile is the place to be. For your wedding setup, your beautiful wedding setup, backdrops, and everything when it comes to planning, coordinating, and delivery, You Smile is the best. For your indoor programs, for executive programs, for corporate events, You Smile is a place to be. Call on us, and we shall give you the best of services. Our telephone numbers are 0242571571 and also 0243639381. Social media handles are IG You Smile Events, on Facebook You Smile Events, and also on TikTok You Smile Events. Come and let's do business, and you never regret it. You Smile. Satisfaction is our hallmark. We'll make sure we deliver, and our delivery is always on point.
So Jesus, you brought heaven down. My sin was great, your love was greater. What could separate? Jesus Christ, my King. What a wonderful name it is.
When it comes to balloons and balloons decoration for your baby Christian, for your ceiling floral, You Smile is the place to be. For your wedding setup, your beautiful wedding setup, backdrops, and everything when it comes to planning, coordinating, and delivery, You Smile is the best. For your
Hey there, fabulous folks. Are you ready to take your locks to new heights of beauty and vitality? Then listen up, because Tiny Hands Locks is here to make your hair dreams a reality. Located at the heart of natural beauty, Tiny Hands Locks isn't just a salon, it's a sanctuary where your locks are pampered and celebrated. Now, let's talk about our top-notch hair care services and products. At Tiny Hands Locks, we believe in the power of nature's bounty to nurture and revitalize your locks. At Tiny Hands Locks, we are dedicated to crafting bespoke lock styles that enhance your natural beauty and reflect your unique personality. From starter locks to locks maintenance, we've got you covered every step of the way. And when it comes to products, we've curated a range of natural wonders that are sure to leave your hair feeling pampered and rejuvenated. From clarifying shampoos to revitalizing conditioners, each product is meticulously formulated with nature's finest ingredients to
Hello, everyone. We are back, and this is Atswei on Health Talk. We've been talking to Geraldine today, and we are talking about stroke. She's mentioned what stroke is and told us the different type of strokes that can happen to you. So, Geraldine, how do you know if someone is having a stroke?
The initial symptoms can vary from person to person, but here in the UK we have an acronym that helps us remember. It's called FAST. Have you seen it before?
Yes.
FAST, yeah. So F stands for face. So if you were sitting across from someone that was experiencing a stroke, not everyone, but one of the signs you can look for is the face. So you may notice a side of their face appears to be drooping, or they're leaning towards one side. They're struggling to sit or look at you straight. So you can even ask them, like, can you smile? And if they struggle to move one side of the smile, then they could be experiencing a stroke. The other part of FAST is A, which is arms. So the side that is drooping. By the way, with stroke, when you're being affected on one side of the brain, it's normally the opposite side of the body that you see.
That responds to, okay.
Yeah, so your right side, it means the left side of the brain is being affected. So arms, you would ask them, can you raise your arm? Can you move your arm? Can you pass me something? If they struggle with that, then that's another sign. S is for speech. Speech. So if you notice they're starting to slur their words, or they're becoming quite inconsistent in what they're saying, or they're taking a lot of breaks, they're not able to finish a sentence, that's another sign. T is for time. So essentially it's just letting you know that it's very, very, as soon as you notice those other three signs, it's time to act quickly. Because like I was saying, that it's all about the oxygen supply being cut off from the brain. So this is a progressive thing. So the quicker you act, the better, because the more time, the damage that's done is irreparable. So time is really crucial. There are other signs. Those ones are the main signs to look for. But there are other signs like incontinence. seizures, especially if the person's not epileptic, but
Okay.
you notice they're having something that looks like a seizure. And just in general, if they can't stand, you know, and it's the leaning towards one side, that's a very big indicator.
Okay.
So those are some things to look for. Yeah.
Okay. That's true, because I remember when my dad had stroke for the very first time, my sister said she served him food and she realized that his lips is just gone one-sided like that, and his face was looking a bit,
One side.
yeah.
Was she able to spot straight away?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So then she called my brother and then they took him to the hospital. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So, does it affect like babies? Like, is there some age range like that where stroke affects it, or just adults?
Yeah, we commonly think it's associated with older people, but even I'm finding out through work, it has no age limit. And so I didn't even know that not only young children and babies, but even in the womb, a child can suffer a stroke. So it's really just dependent on how much oxygen the brain is getting. If it's not getting enough, you're on the verge of you're basically suffering from a stroke. That's all it's saying. So anything that can restrict that supply could end up causing a stroke. So the issue with babies and children, they can't communicate certain symptoms. So the things you would look out for is limb weakness, drowsiness, difficulty swallowing, even increased dribbling. If they're dribbling more than their usual, you know, that would be a sign. Behavioral changes, severe headache, you know, if they're just constantly holding their head, you've given them something, they're not responding. These are all the signs to look out for in babies and young children. But yeah, they can suffer from them also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things that can cause oxygen not to get enough oxygen in the brain?
So it's the clotting essentially. If anything you can think of that could stop the like I mentioned, the clot, anything that could cause a clot. So even clots can travel in the body, as you may know. They can travel all the way from the leg into the lung. They can travel from the heart to the brain. So anything that causes your arteries to narrow, i.e. having high cholesterol, things like that, anything that predisposes you to a clot is what could essentially cause a stroke.
Okay.
So I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yeah. Okay. So how about somebody who has got like me with my sinus problem, that when you are sleeping at night, you're not breathing properly, so you don't get enough oxygen into your brain. Can that cause stroke as well?
Funny enough, they do say that people that struggle with like sleep apnea, it is a risk factor. It is a risk factor for stroke, because you're right. If you're not getting that, or if at any point your breathing is obstructed and you're not getting that oxygen supply, not only your brain, I think it can affect other parts of the body. But that's why it's important that, you know, the sleep test where they measure how well you're sleeping, how well you're breathing.
Yeah.
Some people, they end up needing that mask
Oh, okay.
during their sleep, just to ensure they're getting the oxygen supply they need. So it's important that, you know, breathing's effective, and also just to reduce, which I'll talk about later, reduce that chancing of clotting.
Okay. All right. We are still listening on Akwaku Africa Radio UK. This is Health Talk with Atswei. It's a minute to 5 o'clock. We are very late today, but we are here, and I hope you stay with us. We are talking about stroke today. So please get your questions ready and we'll answer them for you. So why is stroke time dependent?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, you know, in some people, the difference between acting 1 hour after their symptoms and 3 hours after their symptoms can be the difference between a permanent disability or even death. So, which we'll talk about later in terms of the treatment. It's so important that you get that treatment straight away, because you're tackling against the lack of oxygen supply to the brain. And like I was telling you, the tissue damage is permanent. Like, there's no kind of way they can revive that dead tissue. So that's essentially why it's time dependent.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I've heard people saying he had a mini stroke.
Yeah.
What is a mini stroke?
A mini stroke is something called TIA, which is a transient ischemic. So I was mentioning earlier ischemic stroke, which is a blood clot that leads to a lack of oxygen supply in the brain. The transient ischemic attack, that's what a TIA stands for, is basically a clot, but it didn't stay. It was just short term.
Okay.
Yeah. So the body kind of resolved itself, but it still caused a short supply issue of oxygen, and so the supply was interrupted, but only temporarily, and that's what you would term a mini stroke. So symptoms of it are the same as stroke, however they only tend to last a few minutes,
Okay.
and of course the damage isn't as
That
bad.
much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although the symptoms may pass, you should still be treated as if you had the ischemic stroke, and it should be treated as a medical emergency because it often indicates that you're at risk of now having the full thing. Having those mini strokes means you're at risk of having a full stroke.
Oh, okay.
So normally after a mini stroke, they'll still put you on preventative measures to kind of ensure that you never go to the point of a permanent clot forming. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So with that, you can still have some symptoms, which can make you aware that this is a stroke.
Yeah. So some people, I've got patients who said they just fainted. There was none of the slurring speech. There was none of that. They just fainted, ended up in the hospital.
Okay.
And then only after they did the scans did they notice, oh, you actually suffered a mini stroke. And yeah, from there they give them prevention to ensure that they, in the future, they don't go through the full stroke. Yeah.
Okay. So that's saying, would you say that some people might be able to suffer stroke without knowing?
Yeah. In short, yeah, because there's something called a silent stroke where there's no symptoms whatsoever, and it's only until they do the brain scan that they can see that you actually suffered stroke or that there is a small tissue damage. Yeah. I didn't know about this actually, so I did a bit of research on it. So the typical warning signs are not noticeable, but the part of the brain that suffered from the tissue damage wasn't the motory part of the brain, so the part that's responsible for moving your arm or picking up your face or sitting straight, or it didn't control that part of the brain, but another part of the brain did die, if that makes sense. So there's no visible symptoms. The most common way people discover is by having an MRI or a CT scan for another condition, and then they just pick it up.
Pick that one up.
That,
Okay.
this part of your brain is actually the tissue's damaged or it's dead completely. And this could potentially be years after it even happened.
Wow.
Yeah. So in that case, even though they say there's no symptoms, there's none of those obvious symptoms of a stroke. But you may notice there's been memory loss, balance problems, frequent falling, mood swings, personality changing, laughing or crying at inappropriate times. And bladder or bowel incontinence. Yeah, so it's only when you go to the doctor for those things and they look, let's see what's going on with the brain activity in the scan, and they'll notice, oh, there's actually tissue damage there. You may have suffered a silent stroke 3 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think I know lots of people I need to take them to.
People that laugh inappropriately.
Yes, and memory problems. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like people that suffer from these silent strokes, they say that sometimes they're normally the ones that go on to develop dementia in their later years. Yeah, because that damage has been done, no one's picked it up, and then obviously the severe memory problems, it's only once they go for the scanning of dementia, the screening of dementia, that they pick up that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that will keep deteriorating. Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. So then sometimes you see that some diseases are connected, but
Yeah.
it's because of something that has not been picked up earlier. Or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I
Thank you
think that
very
one's,
much.
I think that one's the scariest one.
It
if you
is.
think about it, the
It's-
silent
it
one.
sounds scary.
Yeah, because you're waiting for the obvious signs of your face drooping or your arm, leaning, things like that. You're waiting for those obvious signs. They're not there. But years later, you can find out, oh, the reason I keep forgetting is because
Yeah.
I had this thing years ago.
Because as we are growing, when you keep forgetting things, we activate that to age. Oh, I'm growing old. I can't remember things nowadays. So probably.
Exactly. and that's what I'm starting to realize, that, oh my gosh, some of the 90-year-olds that I call, they remember everything I told them about their medication, about their health. They remember everything I told them in the previous phone calls. And I'm fascinated. I'm like, wow, you'd expect 90 that they can only remember to tell me their name, But no, it's actually not a thing where, oh, just because I'm getting older, my memory. It's actually a myth.
Yeah.
Some of them, like, some people are able to maintain their memory. So
We need to check some people.
Yeah.
All right. So, how is stroke diagnosed and confirmed?
So, as I mentioned, it's through the scanning, MRI and CT scans. So they will always be taken in order to confirm that most definitely someone suffered a stroke. So if you are rushed to hospital, you would be prioritized because, like we were saying, it's time dependent. So they need to confirm what's going on. If they suspect a stroke straight away, that's what they'd want to do, get an image of the brain.
Okay.
The other thing is the scan will also help doctors establish how severe the stroke is and which areas have been affected. The hospital should aim to ensure the scan is carried out within an hour of when you've arrived. Other investigations they'd look at blood pressure and blood tests. They can also, if you have very extremely high blood pressure and you have all those symptoms, they can kind of deduce that this person's undergoing a stroke.
Okay. All right. So we are still here on Health Talk with Atswei on Akoko Africa Radio UK. Time check 5:08, and we are here with Geraldine talking about stroke today. So Geraldine, how common is stroke?
Quite common. In 2019, the World Health Organization published that stroke is the second biggest killer. It's responsible
Wow.
for the deaths. It was the second. And the risk of stroke increases with age, but over 60% of strokes happen to people under 70. 60%. So we're thinking, I'm sorry, for me, before I started doing these reviews, I thought stroke was something in your 80s.
For old people, yeah, that's what I think.
No, 60% of them in the world, because this is the World Health Organization with this statistic, 60% of them are under the age of 70. Yeah, so that's the majority. And the World Stroke Organization states over 100 million people have suffered, and over half of the people who suffer stroke will die.
Wow.
So a lot of it ends in death, more than we think, on a global level. But as you can imagine, when you're counting for the whole world, it's very easy to think of the UK or maybe those that have money in poorer countries. But can you imagine those that have no access to healthcare? It's going to result in dying.
Yeah.
Because even if they manage to get to a hospital now, how efficient is that hospital working with the scanning and the medication and the whatever? They may take hours, even days, to tend to the person, and because it's time critical, they don't stand a chance.
Wow. You know, when I was working in the hospital, we had this patient, and he was like 23 years old, and he had stroke.
Wow.
But then he was looking very strong. I didn't go to work for 2 days, and I went back, and he was dead.
Oh my gosh.
And I couldn't believe that such a young person
Could die that way.
could die. Yeah, that was the first time I've seen somebody as young as that who has died from stroke. But then
Do you
I
remember?
didn't think much of it. I was thinking maybe it's a one-off something. Maybe there must be something else or so.
Did you? That's what I was going to ask. Did he have any other conditions?
I didn't check. All I knew was he was in my ward, and I was just being looked after him because he had stroke. Very young boy.
23.
23, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's crazy. That's why it's not even age. So even sometimes you think, because when I found out it can happen in the womb, I was like, oh my gosh. But then when you think about it, it's true. Any kind of supply to the fetus can be cut off at any time, or clots can form for whatever reason. And then, someone loses a child, you wonder what went wrong. And these are some of the things that can happen. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So what are the risks of having a stroke?
So the ischemic strokes, which is the blood supply, the blood clot causing the lack of supply, they can get, they are, something that puts you at risk of that is, age, it does play a factor, because as you get older, your vessels and your arteries and your vessels, they start to narrow naturally. So that's why even when we're measuring blood pressure in older people, we have a slightly higher target, because we understand their blood pressure is naturally going to be a bit higher than someone below the age of 80. So as your blood vessels narrow, that can obviously put you more at risk of clots. Another big thing is cholesterol. Cholesterol. That one is a big one, and obviously applies definitely to our people, because blood pressure and cholesterol, and as you can imagine, high blood pressure forcing its way through the arteries, there's that risk of forming clots. Then the cholesterol build up around the arteries makes it harder for blood to pass through. That can also put you at risk of clots. So smoking, smoking, obesity, and excessive alcohol. These are all things that put you at risk of clotting, and any risk of clotting, that clot travels up to the brain.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, there's the stroke. Atrial fibrillation, it's a heart condition where the heart is beating irregularly. Because of that irregularity, it predisposes someone more to clots. So that clot can travel from the heart up to the brain as well. So anyone that does suffer from atrial fibrillation, they're normally always on preventative medication to keep the blood thin, anticoagulants, and that keeps the blood thin to prevent that clotting happening. But anyone can be affected. Like you say, the risks, it's across the board, from fit and healthy young adults to children and even babies. So all you can really do is try and control the factors that you have control of, i.e. weight, smoking, blood pressure is a big one. When I'm reviewing patients that have already had a stroke, what part of our review is to make sure their blood pressure is always good. So we either give them medication, or they have to adjust their lifestyle to ensure their blood pressure is always where it needs to be, because if they maintain high blood pressure and they've already had a stroke, they're almost definitely going to suffer another one.
Okay. All right. So what are some of the preventive measures one can take to avoid? I mean, some of them we know we can't avoid it, but
So like I mentioned, it's definitely weight and exercise, what we eat especially, because those things contribute to, salt intake contributes to your blood pressure, and then the foods that we eat in terms of fats, butter, oils, things like that, that's all contributing to our cholesterol. So those things need to be under control. Just keeping fit, and if you've got conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure, just make sure you're being well managed at all times, because if your blood sugars aren't where they need to be, if your blood pressure is not where it needs to be, it's almost like the people that have suffered stroke, they've normally got a comorbidity. So they've got diabetes or they've got high blood pressure, and that's what led to, uncontrolled is what led to the stroke.
Okay. All right. So how is it treated after you are diagnosed? How is it treated?
So after you're diagnosed, the main thing they want to do is to keep the blood thin to avoid any kind of clotting in the future. So that's with ischemic stroke. And so what they'll do is they'll normally put you on medication to ensure your cholesterol doesn't build up. So something like a statin or ezetimibe or the fibrates, they'll put you on those kind of medications to ensure your cholesterol is not creeping up. Then blood pressure medication, of course, to keep the blood pressure low. And then they will put you on an antiplatelet. In some patients where they think the risk is even higher, they'll put you on 2 antiplatelets, something like aspirin and clopidogrel. They'll combine the 2, and they'll put you on that for at least a year to 18 months. And then after that course of time, it's normally the decision of the specialist. He judges how severe the stroke was or your risk factors for another one, and he'll judge how long you should be on those 2, and then he'll drop one. He'll advise one should be dropped, and you maintain the other one lifelong. So you'll be on aspirin for the rest of your life, just to ensure that that blood is kept thin. In those patients with things like atrial fibrillation, they're on an antiplatelet and an anticoagulant, just to ensure that blood stays thin. But when you've suffered immediately from a stroke, they'll put you on a very high dose of aspirin, 300 milligrams.
Okay.
Versus the daily 75 milligrams, that's maintenance. They'll put you on a high dose, 300 milligrams, for sometimes up to 2 weeks. Yeah, until the consultant decides what your treatment's going to be going forwards. There was also another treatment that I found. It's because in some people with the clot, they even need to have surgery. So there's something called thrombectomy, where they basically surgically remove the blood clot. Not common from what I've seen, but it can occur. I think maybe if they've tried the medicine but they're not sure the clot's completely dissolved, they may go into the brain and remove it, cut it out.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also something called thrombolysis, which is a clot buster, and known as a clot buster. And it's another method of treatment. It involves the injection of a drug called alteplase into the patient, and this dissolves blood clots, which in turn restores the proper flow to the brain of blood. It needs to be started as soon as possible, that one, after the stroke has occurred, as if the strokes happen more than 4 hours and you're trying to apply that medication, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So this is why things are so time dependent. So the other thing was the hemorrhagic stroke. So now this isn't the clot, this is where the brain has bled. So you're going to almost do the opposite. You don't want the blood to be thin. The brain's the bleeding needs
to stop.
Exactly. So that's an emergency surgery for that one. It's called a craniotomy, and it removes the blood from the brain and repairs any burst vessels. So it's repairing the vessel that's burst. And in some cases with a hemorrhagic stroke, it can cause a complication known as hydrocephalus. In these circumstances, a tube is surgically inserted into the brain to allow the fluid build-up to drain from the brain. That's why hemorrhagic stroke is very rare. It's very rare and it's very complicated to treat. And after a hemorrhagic one, sometimes they may put the fact that you've had the hemorrhage down to blood pressure being too high. That's what bursts the vessel.
Okay.
So they obviously for maintenance, they'll just ensure you remain on blood pressure medication to keep it low.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So when you said part of the brain can die, is it possible like some of them can come back, or depending on the time, or
No. What may appear to happen is so say the part of the brain where memory is concerned has been affected. It's never gonna repair itself. No.
Okay.
It's never gonna repair itself. But the damage may not have been as bad, because you may compare 2 stroke patients. Be like, oh, but this one's memory isn't as bad as this person's. It's just dependent on the severity of how much the tissue died. That's literally the difference. Because some people really are bad, like their speech never comes back, and it won't. They can go through things like speech therapy, but it will only it won't improve to the point of normality. It will just, maybe they can become slightly faster at speaking again, but they'll never return to full speech again. Yeah. So it really depends what part of the brain was affected and by how much. Yeah.
So is there like a time limit, like when oxygen is not going to the brain? Is there like a time limit, like, okay, if you don't have oxygen going like the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that's what it's gonna cause?
I haven't found data that is that specific. No, I haven't found data that is that specific. But from what I can tell, the people who knew they were having a stroke, like they noticed the family member straight away. As long as they got into the hospital within the first hour or two of the symptoms, those people are a lot more successful at recovery than the people who, God forbid, it happened in their sleep, or those silent strokes, things like that. Those people who got no treatment, no attention straight away, they're the ones that the damage is a lot more. So it's very time dependent, but I haven't seen the data.
I only asked that question because when we took that to the hospital, and they were worried that like he might have lost some part of the brain cells, the doctor was like, depending on how long there was no oxygen going in, can determine whether it's going to be dead or not. So I was thinking like maybe they have like, okay, if it's 10 minutes or if it's 5 minutes, then it's gonna definitely be dead.
No, it'd be good to know that information. It'd be good to know that, but then it'd also be hard to judge because it's like,
you actually don't know when it started.
Like, say you go to see someone and then it's only because you've gone to go ask, it's only because you've approached them to ask them something, you notice something's not right. What if that started half an hour before you went to go in their room or talk to them? It would be tough to judge, and I guess that's probably why the data's not out yet. But maybe it is, and I need to go look for it. But no, that would be interesting. Definitely.
Okay, thank you so much. So what are the long-term effects of a stroke?
So when I'm doing these reviews, and it's very interesting to hear different patients talking about different symptoms, how they've been affected, because in some people it ends up in paralysis. They're not able to walk again. So they're in a wheelchair forever, and you think, okay, physically it's not like anything happened to their limbs, nothing was injured, but it's simply that part of the brain that controls that is now permanently affected. So paralysis, muscle weakness, communication difficulties. Like, so some of the patients, what I have to ask them is how's their memory, and for some of them it's so bad. So bad. Like, some of them can't even do the reviews. They have to do it with a family member because they can't even remember anything. I have to ask them, have they got any swallowing difficulties? Even the swallowing flex has now been affected. So they now have to have their food liquidized to prevent choking. I have to ask them if they've got any chronic pain. Some of them, they feel this constant pain that can't be relieved, because as you may know, chronic pain is linked to, it's more psychological than acute pain. So that part of the brain is constantly being tampered with, therefore they're in a constant chronic pain. Loss of sexual function. So there was one man who, he now has to be on medication like sildenafil, also known as Viagra, anytime he wants to be intimate with his wife, because that part just will not work without any medical stimulation. Then the bladder symptoms, so going to the toilet, continence. I have to ask them about continence because their bladder control is completely gone. So for some of them, so there's a lot it can affect. And then there's the mood as well. For a lot of people, they become depressed. So now we're treating them for depression as well. They just don't feel the same person anymore.
I mean, I can imagine. I can imagine when all of a sudden you can't walk again, or you can't remember anything. It was very frustrating.
Very frustrating. When it could just be 2 days ago, you knew I was doing X, Y, Z. Now I'm out of the hospital and I can't go back to what I was used to doing. So those are the different ways it can affect.
Does it affect the eyes sometimes or what?
Yeah. So vision and hearing, definitely. One lady, she can't see out of the eye. Well, the vision's severely impaired in the eye on the side of the face that was affected, and so was her hearing. So I was fascinated because the eye and the ear, it's not really linked too much. Like there's not much of a link, but for her, because that the whole side of her face was, the whole side of that body was affected. Her vision in that side was affected. The hearing was affected. She also mentioned weakness in that arm. She just couldn't lift things the way she used to using that side. So yeah, the stroke patients, they have to regularly go for eye appointments and hearing tests, at least annually, just to keep an eye on those things, because they have been affected in some people because of the stroke.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we are. All that you need to know about stroke, Geraldine has told us today. If you have any questions, we'll be coming to your questions soon. But before we go to the questions, she has a quiz. And we want to know that those of you sitting at the back talking, you are actually listening, because we need everyone to be on board to answer these questions. Anyone who is not able to answer, I'm not going to say what I'm going to do to you, because I don't want to be the one winning this test all the time.
It's true. It's going to start to look biased, isn't it? If
Yes.
you're always winning. It's
Yeah,
like
they
I've
will
given you the
think you
answer.
gave me the answers,
It's
you know.
true.
Yeah, they won't believe us, but they were not listening. So we are ready for your questions, Geraldine.
Okay. So, question 1. Strokes are caused by A, a blood clot. B, a rupture in a major artery to the brain. C, both A and B, or D, none of the above.
I know it's A. Who else is answering? I think it's A.
You think it's A?
Has anyone else got another answer? Let me check if somebody's saying anything here, or they are still talking. Who said it's C?
Someone said C.
Okay, Juliet said C.
Correct.
So Juliet, yeah, well done. You see, I got this wrong.
You got it wrong. Yeah, no, it's true. It's it could be caused by either a blood clot or a rupture in the artery to the brain. Yeah.
Okay.
So, number 2, transient ischemic attacks, also known as mini strokes, are A, strokes trying to happen that can occur before a major stroke if not treated immediately. B, have the same cause as a major stroke. C, have temporary symptoms similar to a major stroke but have no permanent damage. D, all of the above.
I'm not saying anything, I'm waiting. Can you repeat the answers again?
So TIAs, which are mini strokes, they are A, strokes that are trying to happen that can occur before a major stroke if not treated immediately. B, have the same cause as a major stroke. C, have temporary symptoms similar to a major stroke but have no permanent damage. D, all of the above.
I'm waiting. Any answers? I'm not getting any answers here.
Abigail said A and Julia said D.
Okay.
So Abigail said A and Juliet said D. Okay.
Okay. The answer is D.
Juliet is winning today. All right. So what's the next question, the third one?
Third one, the risk factor that has the greatest impact for lowering your risk of stroke, is A, smoking, B, lack of exercise, C, high blood pressure, D, high cholesterol, E, none of the above.
Again.
Okay. The risk factor that has the greatest impact for lowering your risk of stroke is A, smoking, B, lack of exercise, C, high blood pressure, D, high cholesterol, E, none of the above.
I don't remember. I'm not getting I'm having problems here.
Me said D and Julia said B.
Can I use your phone, please? My phone is not working. I can't see any answers here. Thank you.
Juliet's on a roll. It's E, none.
Okay, so Juliet got it right again.
Yeah.
You have to tell the prize for the person winning.
An invitation to a future party.
Oh, Juliet, you heard that. We are going to party. I'm coming with you. Okay, what's the next one?
Okay. The symptoms of stroke occur A, over several weeks, B, suddenly, C, only to older people.
That would be B.
Correct.
Okay, Juliet said B. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Abigail said E.
There was no E.
Maybe that was for the previous
The
question.
previous one. Oh, okay.
Okay, Nigogo said B. Juliet said B. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The sudden onset of slurred speech, loss of speech, or inability to understand speech can be a warning sign of stroke. True or false?
The what?
The sudden onset of slurred speech, loss of speech, or inability to understand speech can be a warning sign of stroke. True or false?
This is true. I know that one. Okay, Juliet said true. Let me see who else said true. Now everybody will say true because they know the answer now. I said it. But actually, Juliet said true before me. All right. Okay.
So warning signs of stroke can also include A, trouble seeing in one or both eyes, B, weakness, numbness, or paralysis, C, severe headaches with no known cause, D, confusion, dizziness, or loss of balance or coordination, E, all of the above.
I think I've suffered stroke. My memory is not working now.
God forbid.
Can you repeat the question again? Oh, for the previous one, Abigail also said true. Okay.
Okay. So warning signs of stroke can also include A, trouble seeing in one or both eyes, B, weakness, numbness, or paralysis, C, severe headaches with no known cause, D, confusion, dizziness, or loss of balance or coordination, E, all of the above.
I think it's E. Okay. Juliet said E. Abigail said E. Now Abigail is fast. Anyone else? We know the ones losing and the ones winning now, you know. Juliet is first. Abigail is second. I'm third. Nigogo, you are one. DJ Kobe, I don't see you here today. Okay, what's the next question?
The most appropriate response to a possible stroke is, if you guys get this wrong, I'll be sad. Go to bed and rest. A. B, call the doctor. C, call a neighbor or a friend. D, call the emergency services.
So the question again.
The most appropriate response to a possible stroke is go to bed and rest. A. B, call the doctor. C, call a neighbor or a friend. D, call emergency services.
Call emergency services. D. Okay, Julia said D. Okay, anyone else? No one else. Okay.
So, stroke recovery and improvement can occur months and years beyond the first 6 months after the initial stroke. I didn't give you the answer to this, so you'd have to guess. So stroke recovery and improvement can occur months and years beyond the first 6 months after the initial stroke. True or false?
True.
What does everyone else say?
I'm waiting. Okay, nobody else is saying anything.
That was true.
Okay.
Every year.
Okay, Juliet said true.
Okay. So this last question. It's a guessing one as well, but it's a fun fact. Every year, stroke kills more women than breast cancer. True or false?
I don't know that one. Okay, Juliet said true. Is it true?
Correct.
Oh,
It's true. It's
interesting.
all true, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the end of the quiz.
That's the end of the quiz.
But everyone did well. Everyone did well. They got the majority true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. Sorry, they got the majority correct.
Okay. So our winner for today is Juliet.
Woo!
And like we said, she's been invited for the party,
Yes.
which she's gonna go with me. Okay. We're going to take a short break and then we'll come back and then ask your questions, because I've seen a few questions on this thing
Okay.
on our website. We'll ask a few questions, answer them, and then I've got something else for you today. So can we have a short break message from our sponsors? Thank you.
Hey there, fabulous folks. Are you ready to take your locks to new heights of beauty and vitality? Then listen up, because Tiny Hands Locks is here to make your hair dreams a reality. Located at the heart of natural beauty, Tiny Hands Locks isn't just a salon, it's a sanctuary where your locks are pampered and celebrated. Now, let's talk about our top-notch hair care services and products. At Tiny Hands Locks, we believe in the power of nature's bounty to nurture and revitalize your locks. At Tiny Hands Locks, we are dedicated to crafting bespoke lock styles that enhance your natural beauty and reflect your unique personality. From starter locks to locks maintenance, we've got you covered every step of the way. And when it comes to products, we've curated a range of natural wonders that are sure to leave your hair feeling pampered and rejuvenated. From clarifying shampoos to revitalizing conditioners, each product is meticulously formulated with nature's finest ingredients to cleanse, nourish, and protect your locks. But wait, there's more. Visit our website at www.tinyhandslocks.co.uk to explore our full range of services and products. Located at 24 Swan Close, Feltham, TW1.
When it comes to balloons and balloons decoration for your baby Christian, for your ceiling floral, You Smile is the place to be. For your wedding setup, your beautiful wedding setup, backdrops, and everything when it comes to planning, coordinating, and delivery, You Smile is the best. For your indoor programs, for executive programs, for corporate events, You Smile is the place to be. Call on us and we shall give you the best of services. Our telephone numbers are 0242571571 and also 0243639381. Our social media handles are IG You Smile Events, on Facebook You Smile Events, and also on TikTok You Smile Events. Come and let's do business, and you never regret it. You Smile. Satisfaction is our hallmark. We'll make sure we deliver, and our delivery is always on point.
So Jesus, you brought heaven down. My sin was great, your love was greater. Oh, I could say
Hello, welcome back. We have a few questions here for Geraldine. I'll just read them out and then we'll see. Okay, somebody is asking, that's Abigail. It said, is a mini stroke the same as mild stroke?
Mild stroke. Possibly. I guess it depends on where you are in the world, where they term it that way. But yeah, I'd assume it's the same. Mild, mini, TIA, yeah. Yeah, it can be addressed as a mild stroke.
Okay. So that is your answer, Abigail. Abigail said, are there any preventive measures? She wants to know if there are any preventive measures for stroke.
So I guess, as you get older, regular blood tests, looking at things like your cholesterol levels, measuring your blood pressure, especially if there's genetic risk factors. So if you had parents that you knew suffered from high blood pressure, it's good to just check, that you can buy machines at home, you can go into your surgery to have a blood pressure check, you can even go to the pharmacies to have blood pressure checks. These are all risk factors for a stroke. Obesity, so ensuring that your weight, you're keeping physically active, that your weight is not overweight, and lifestyle, so what we eat, try and avoid smoking, of course, that's a risk factor, and if you're going to drink alcohol, just not excessively.
Okay. So alcohol, but not too much.
Not too much.
Okay. Thank you. Abigail said, does genetics play a role in getting the stroke?
Not so much getting the stroke, but like I mentioned, genetics of, so see, high cholesterol, because I review people that have high cholesterol as well, that can sometimes have a genetic factor. Some people have a gene that no matter, even if you were to eat well, even if you were to exercise minimum 3 times a week for an hour each time, you may notice your cholesterol not reduce, and that's because there's a gene that is responsible for synthesizing its own cholesterol. It's telling the body to build cholesterol. So it's not even about what you're ingesting or how much physical activity you get. So it's genetics playing a role in that sense, or high blood pressure, but not, those are the genetics playing a risk in playing a role in the risk of the risk factors that precede a stroke, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So just because your parent had a stroke, you need to look at what happened before the stroke. Did they have diabetes? Did they suffer from high blood pressure? Did they suffer from high cholesterol? That's what you're looking for, not the fact that they had a stroke, that you're definite, or you're more at risk of having a stroke. No.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Abigail. Juliet said, is there any vitamins or food that is recommended to help reduce risk?
Vitamins, not so much. Like, there's no data to show if your vitamin D is good, then it'll put you at less risk of a stroke. No. No vitamins or supplements that are known to help prevent stroke. No. But just remaining healthy overall is what I'd say.
Okay. Thank you. Let me see, is there any more questions here? I don't see any more questions. We are still here. We'll be finishing in a few minutes. If you have any more questions, you can still send it to us, and Geraldine will be more than happy to answer you. So, what is your conclusion in what we have discussed today, Geraldine?
In summary, I would just say that that emphasis on fast, so time. If you feel someone could potentially be suffering from a stroke, you're doing them way more of a favor than taking them to the hospital. And even if it isn't a stroke, you're doing them a bigger favor than in case it is a stroke and you're in doubt and you're taking more time to decide. Don't take that time, just act. And the best case scenario is you go to hospital and they say it wasn't a stroke, but if it is, time is on their side and they can act quickly to resolve the issue. So just remembering that acronym F for face, A for arms, S for speech, T for time. Fast.
Good. All right. So we've learned about stroke today. Oh, is there any questions here again? I can't see. Let me see. No, there's no question on this one. Maybe I need to refresh. For some reason, mine is not coming out. Okay, so Nigogo is asking how much time is worst case scenario.
How much time is the worst case scenario? Kind of ties into your question on, is there a certain amount of time linked to the symptoms?
Yeah.
Not really. No, not really. Okay, I guess in certain cases, some of the medication and treatment they can offer, like I mentioned, one of the medications, it has to be within 4 hours of the symptoms. Otherwise, that medication's now ineffective. So there's little things like that. But of course, every minute counts. It's a matter of time it's a race against time in how much oxygen is being cut off to that part of the brain, how quickly that's happening. That's what you're racing against.
How quickly that is resolved. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Geraldine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, okay, so Juliet said it's very scary, but listening today has helped understand what you can do. Thank you, Geraldine.
Oh, thank you, Juliet.
Nigogo said thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep, that's it. Thanks so much. So, we are doing this show on Health Talk. We try our best to do most Saturdays, if not every other Saturday. But then the whole reason is to create awareness of different kinds of illnesses that affect us. Rose Johnson said thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Rose.
We've done different topics. Geraldine has done a lot about antibiotics and other things. Yeah. Everything is on our YouTube and our Facebook, and you can always go and listen to it. The whole point in doing this is to help somebody. Even if it's going to help one person, it's good for us. That is the whole idea of doing this show. So please, when you listen and you know somebody that needs to listen, you can let the person be aware of it. Help somebody. We will try our best to help, but then we can't help everyone. But in our own small way, when you help one person and also help one person, we've both helped two people.
True.
And it goes on and on. So please and please, don't take this for granted. There are serious things that's happening to people, and some of these little things that we learn helps to prevent even death. So I'll encourage you to go on our website and listen at your own free time. Listen to all the shows that we've done so far, and then if you are interested in something that we've not done yet, you can send us a message, and then we'll try to do that. Today we know what happens when you get a stroke, how you can prevent it to some extent, things you can do, and then things you cannot do.
Symptoms to look out for.
Yes, symptoms to look out for, and how fast you need to do to take the person to see a doctor or something. I hope this has helped you in any way. I'm coming. I keep seeing messages here. Okay, that's fine. And thanks to Geraldine, we are learning a lot. And she keeps coming back with good things. And anytime with you, Geraldine, is exciting time. I love your quizzes.
Thank you.
Even though I didn't know much of them today, I don't know what happened. That's why I have to go and check my brain today. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
So, today, I have some items here, which I'm going to be showing to you. We have shea butter. Which you can, some people even use it to cook. You can use it to cook. You can use it on your skin. I mean, you can use shea butter for anything that you want to use it for. We have the shea butter soap. It's very good. I use it. It's very good for the skin. And then the cocoa butter soap. We also have, in Ghana we call it alatasamina, the black soap. Others call it black soap, and it's mixed with shea butter, so it's very moisturized. It's very good for the skin. I use this to bath. You can tell from my skin. And then we have the shea butter moisturizer, different fragrances. They are all things that are coming soon. And if you are interested, you give us a call on our website. We have this scrub for your face. We have a bigger one. I don't have that one here today that you can use to bath. This is very good. I use that to clean my face and it's really, really good. So if you are interested in any of this, I'll make sure by the next time we come on the show, I'll bring you all the literature on these things and the prices. But then if you're interested in any of them, you let us know and then we'll supply you. We are the main suppliers in this country for this, Akoko Africa Radio UK. So let us know. You know our website, you have our numbers there. You can always call us and then we'll give you answers to that. Before I leave you, we always talk about being positive. We know positivity helps us. I have this thing to say: when things change inside you, they change around you. So every time, how you are feeling is how you express yourself. So whatever you say, if it's positive, it brings positive things around you. I always encourage you, whatever the reason is, try to be positive. Because when you are not happy, it affects your health as well. That's why I always talk about positivity. It affects your health so much. There are things that can make you grow old overnight. Just because you are worrying, you are worried about something, you are stressing over things. And as soon as those problems are resolved, you've already done the damage. You cannot correct it. So let's try to be positive. And remember, regardless of all your flaws, God loves you. You all have a nice weekend. Until we come back again, it's bye from us at Akoko. And remember, we are going to have a 1 year for Health Talk show. We are preparing something nice. If you are interested in something else, let us know and we'll add it to the program for our 1 year show. It's coming on soon. We'll let you know and the date. Until we come back and see you again, there is a show tomorrow for AC. AC has a show tomorrow, so please make time with her. DJ Kobe, I think he's suspended at the moment. So when he finishes suspension, he will come back with his show. But until then, have a nice weekend. And tomorrow, please make time with AC. Bye-bye from us now. And thank you to DJ Kobe for having a good production today, even though we were late. He was so patient with us. And Glennis, always my scriptwriter. She's done so well. Thanks to her as well. And thanks for all of you that listened and supported in a way. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Hey there, fabulous folks. Are you ready to take your locks to new heights of beauty and vitality? Then listen up, because Tiny Hands Locks is here to make your hair dreams a reality. Located at the heart of natural beauty, Tiny Hands Locks isn't just a salon, it's a sanctuary where your locks are pampered and celebrated. Now, let's talk about our top-notch hair care services and products. At Tiny Hands Locks, we believe in the power of nature's bounty to nurture and revitalize your